Next chapter is entropy and laws of thermodynamics. So entropy is a different terms, and laws of thermodynamics are separate laws. Before studying about entropy and laws of thermodynamics, we will first know about the thermodynamics. So what is thermodynamics? It is the branch of the physics which deals with the study of thermal system without taking into account their internal structure. So in the thermodynamics we study different thermal system, but we not discuss about the internal structure of that system. If we study thermodynamics, then we can say that thermodynamics is a combination of two words, that is thermo and dynamics. Thermo is related with the heat, whereas dynamics is the branch of the mechanics which deals with the system which consists of the particles which are in continuously moving. So we can say that thermodynamics is the branch of the system which deals with the dynamic study of the system in which heat is involved. With the passage of the time, however, the scope of thermodynamics has extended to vast domains. It means thermodynamics not can be applied to dynamics. It is also related with some another energies. So thermal energy also relate with some another energies like internal energies and some type of other energies, that may be kinetic energy of molecules or particles, and also with the another form of energies. Thermodynamics is important for us because with this we study some systems like heat engines, surface films, electric cells, stretched wires, electric capacitors, and thermocouples, because all of these examples include heat, and so that is a thermal system. So we adopt a concept of heat in all of these systems. So further going towards the study of thermodynamics, we will study first about the heat and then about the work. So if we look about the heat, then we can say that exchange of energy between chaotically moving particles of the system, so that disordered motion in the interactive system increases. If we consider that we give some energy to a system, and in that system disordered motion of the particles in this system increases, so we say that we are imparting heat to that system. The energy so transferred is called amount of heat. In this way we say that we supply heat to that system, and with heating some system we increase disordered motion in that system, and this disordered motion may be of molecules or the particles of that system. For example, if we consider a gas and we heat that gas, then molecules will move in a disordered way. More heat, if we will apply more heat to that system, then disordered motion of molecules or particles of that system will increase more. And we say that during heat exchange, the internal energy of the one system grows and that of the other system decreases or diminishes. For example, if we give heat from a heated body to a colder body, then the heated body temperature decreases, whereas the body which is cool, that's temperature increases. Cool body temperature increases and hot body temperature decreases when there is a exchange of heat from the hot body to the cold body. However, in this process of exchange of heat, we say that total energy of the two systems after the exchange of heat is more or equal to the initial value. In this case, entropy of the two system increases if it will be a irreversible process, and total entropy of the system, that is both system, does not change, or we say that entropy of the first system will be equal to entropy of the second system if the process will be a reversible process. So we can say that in case of irreversible process, entropy change is 0, and in case of reversible process, in case of irreversible process, entropy change is positive or greater than 0, and in case of a reversible process, entropy change is 0, means both system have equal entropy. Since heat and work are two different terms, but they have some common characteristics, that they involve the exchange of energy. Both of heat and work are responsible for the exchange of energy. For example, if we supply heat to a system, this system does some work. That is example of an heat engine. When we supply heat to heat engine, that heat engine works do some work, and sometimes we do some work, and because of that work heat is produced. So we can think that if we hammered some body with a hammer, in that case body get heated. It means we with our work provide some heat to body. So heat is also form of energy, and work can be converted into energy. So heat can be exchanged to some body, also work can be exchanged with energy to some body. But we know that heat involves exchange of energy of disordered motion. So when we give heat, then disordered motion of particles or molecules increases. So with the heating, disordered motion inside the system increases. So we can say that heat is motion of disordered molecules, and the work involves the exchange of the energy of the ordered motion. When we do some work on a system, then ordered motion of that system occurs. So work involves exchange of ordered motion, whereas heat involves exchange of energy of disordered motion. Both heat as well as work can exchange the thermal state of the system. So we can say that if we do work or we provide heat to a system, then we can say that we exchange the thermal state of the system. System energy can be increased by the heat or work, or system energy can be used to do a work or to provide heat to some another system or body. But we know that we can convert heat into work and work into heat. So we say that vice versa. Heat can be changed to work and work can be changed to heat. Thermodynamics, in fact, is the study of changes in the thermal state of the system due to heat and work. It is the same line. Heat Q may be defined as the internal energy in transit. So we can define heat. What is heat? Heat is simply the internal energy in transit. In transit means moving. So we are giving some energy to a system, and the particles of that system start to increase, and their random motion or disordered motion get increases with the supply of heat to that system. So we see that heat is simply the internal energy in transit. When a system gain heats, a part or whole of the heat gained may be converted into internal energy of the system. We have seen that we provide heat to a engine, and engine do some work, but we cannot say that total of the heat is converted into energy or internal energy. We say that some part of the heat is changes into internal energy and some part of the heat occur as losses. So some we will see later that efficiency of heat engine is not 100%. So we say that some amount of heat is converted into internal energy of the system, and some amount of work is also converted into internal energy of the system, but total heat is not converted into internal energy and total work is not converted into internal energy of the system. And gain of heat also affect the chaotic thermal motion of the constituent particle of the system. Chaotic thermal motion means disordered motion of the constituent particles of the system. When a system gain heat, then disordered motion of its constituent particle increases. This thing I have already discussed. So heat may be defined as the exchange of energy of the chaotic thermal motion of the constituent particle of the system. There occur exchange of energy from source of heat or some hot body to the some body at a lower temperature. So its particles or molecules move in a disordered manner. So we supply heat and heat is converted into disordered motion of the particles. And this was all about the heat. Now we will discuss about the work. So in the previous classes, or in last year electricity and magnetism, we also said that what is work. Work is simply the dot product of the force and the displacement. W is equal to F into S, force into displacement. If the system is in thermodynamical equilibrium, there is unbalanced force within the system and the net work done within the system is 0. So we have seen that if a system is supplied with some type of unbalanced force, or we can say that force occur in some direction. So this force move the body by some displacement. Why? Because there is a net unbalanced force, and that force moves the body in a particular direction. So we can say that F equal to F into S. So F is non-zero, so work is done on the system, and if the body will move, some displacement will be there, so work will be there. But if F is 0, we can say that कि F is 0, कि there is no net force or there is no unbalanced force. In that case, we say that work done within the system is 0, because inside the system there is no force, there is no net force. So we can say that inside the system there will be no work done. However, the system may be deformed and the work may be done on it or by it. If we supply the force to a system and the system is deformed by the application of the force, in that case we say that work is done on the system. And for these form of energy or quantities, there are certain sign conventions. For example, that is for U internal energy, Q heat, and W work. So internationally accepted sign conventions are there for internal energy, heat, and work. So what are these sign conventions? According to these sign conventions, when there is a gain in internal energy of the system, if some system gain internal energy, means its internal energy increases, in that case this gain in internal energy is taken as the positive, because internal energy increases with the gain of internal energy. So gain in internal energy, that is delta U, is taken as the positive, and loss of the internal energy is taken as the negative. If a system supply some of its internal energy to surroundings or to some another system, in that case internal energy of the system decreases, and this decrease in internal energy is taken as negative, or we say that delta U is equal to negative. So this was first sign convention, and second sign convention is also about the heat. If a system gain heat from somewhere, then gain of heat is taken as the positive, and if some system lose its heat to the surrounding or to the some another system, in that case heat loss is taken as the negative, or we say that delta Q equal to minus Q, minus negative. or if system take heat or gain heat, in that case delta Q is taken as the positive. And next convention is work done by a system is taken as the positive and that done on the system is taken as the negative. So for example, if we compress a piston of a cylinder, in that case we do a work on the piston and piston compress the gas, so we say that we do work on the gas system. So in this case we consider work done on the system is taken as negative. But if some gas start expanding, so if gas start expanding, in that case this gas pushes the piston outside of the cylinder. So in this case gas or gas system do work on the piston. So in that case work done by a system on the piston is taken as the positive. So when a system do work, in that case we take it as positive, and when some work is done on the system, in that case we take it as negative. And further we give units of work and heat. Since we know that work units are joule, whereas heat works units are taken as calories earlier, but we know that heat is also form of energy, so we can take or adopt joule also as unit for the heat. So we can say that unit of work is joule and heat units are calorie or kilocalorie, but later on joule are also taken as unit of the heat. So what is 1 calorie? 1 calorie is the amount of heat absorbed by 1 gram of water so that its temperature rises by 1 Kelvin. So we can say that if we take 1 gram of water and we supply some heat and water temperature increases by 1 Kelvin, in that case we say that the heat supplied is 1 calorie. 1 calorie is the amount of heat which is used to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 Kelvin. Similarly, we can define kilocalorie. So kilocalorie is the amount of heat absorbed by 1 kilogram of water when we want to rise its temperature by 1 Kelvin. In first case, in the definition of calorie, we take 1 gram of water, whereas in the definition of kilocalorie we take 1000 gram of the water, but in both cases we rise the temperature by 1 Kelvin. So to increase the temperature by 1 Kelvin, if water is 1 gram, then it is called 1 calorie heat, and if it is 1000 gram, then it is taken as the 1 kilocalorie heat. So kilocalorie is the amount of heat which is used to increase the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 Kelvin. In SI, heat is also measured in joule. I have already discussed that in SI system heat is also measured in joule and calorie are also its unit, but SI units are joule. Heat is a form of energy. It is also measured in joule. This relation is also important between calorie and joule. We know that 1 calorie is equal to 4.183 joule, or 4.183 can be written as nearly equal to 4.2, because 1 and this is 8, it can be written as 4.2 joule. So 1 calorie and equal to 1 calorie equal to 4.183 joule. It is a relation between calorie and joule, and it is often taken for various numerical problems. Next is thermodynamical equilibrium. So I have already discussed that a system is said to be in thermodynamical equilibrium if no unbalanced force occurs on that system, but it is not a single case by which we can give definition of this thermodynamical equilibrium. So to discuss the thermodynamic equilibrium, we consider three different cases. So a system is said to be in thermodynamical equilibrium if no exchange of energy and matter take place between them. The nature of interaction between the system may be mechanical, chemical, or thermal in nature. So we say that when the system is in mechanical equilibrium, chemical equilibrium, and thermal equilibrium in nature, in that case we can say that system is in thermodynamical equilibrium. So we can say that there should be these three equilibrium of the system. System must be in mechanical equilibrium, system must be in chemical equilibrium, or system must be in thermal equilibrium. If these three equilibrium exist in that system, we can say that that system is in thermodynamical equilibrium. What is mechanical equilibrium? I have already discussed that existence of there must be no existence of unbalanced force between the systems. There must be no unbalanced force between the system. So force must be zero on this system, so that system cannot move towards the any side. In that case, system is said to be in mechanical equilibrium. Similarly, chemical interaction involves exchange of matter. So no reaction among this system must not be there. So the system will be in chemical equilibrium. If some reaction occur there, then number of molecules of system of one time changes to one type changes to some another type if chemical reaction occur there. But if there will be no chemical reaction, the amount of matter or number of molecules of the system remain the same. So we say that system remains in chemical equilibrium. And next one is thermal equilibrium. So we can say that there should be a constant temperature of whole of the system. Some part of the system must not have the different temperature. If a system at one place have different temperature and another place have different temperature, so whole of the system should have the same temperature. So we say that that system is in thermal equilibrium. So we can say that what is thermodynamic equilibrium? Thermodynamic equilibrium is a term for the system having mechanical equilibrium, chemical equilibrium, and thermal equilibrium. The system are said to be in mechanical equilibrium if there is no unbalanced force between them. The system are said to be in chemical equilibrium when no chemical reaction or exchange of matter takes place between them. and a system are said to be in thermal equilibrium when no exchange of heat occurs between them. It means that system have equal temperature at every place. So there will be no exchange of heat because temperature is same. We say that heat always from higher temperature to lower temperature side. If there will be same temperature, there will be no flow of heat. So we say that there will be thermal equilibrium when no heat exchange occur inside the system. So if there are these three types of equilibrium in a system, then we can say that that system is in thermodynamical equilibrium. Such a system is not only in mechanical, chemical and thermal equilibrium with its surrounding, but its various parts also have three types of equilibria with one another. So there is no unbalanced force between its different parts and the pressure is same everywhere. So pressure on the system is also part of mechanical equilibrium. Pressure means we are applying force per unit area is known as the pressure. So pressure term for system is a mechanical equilibrium, mechanical force. So there should not also be pressure or unbalanced pressure on the system. There is no chemical reaction between its various parts and not exchange of matter occurring from one region to the another. Also the temperature of the same everywhere. In other words, temperature and pressure of such a system do not vary with time, and the relation between its thermodynamic variables can be expected without involving time. Next one is zeroth law of thermodynamics. What is zeroth law of thermodynamics? We will discuss, and after that we will also study first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics and third law of thermodynamics. So we will discuss also about the absolute temperature, and before the temperature study we will study zeroth law of thermodynamics. So what is zeroth law of thermodynamics? We can see here that we are taking in this box the three system A, B, C, and between A and B we put a adiabatic wall, and between A, B and C, so C system is separated with this black wall, and this is called diathermal wall. So what are these diathermal and adiabatic walls? So W1 is adiabatic wall and W2 is diathermic wall. This diathermic wall allows some heat from the C side to the A side and A side to the C side, but not the matter. A can exchange heat with the C, not the matter, and similarly B exchange heat with the C, but not the matter. But A and B cannot exchange heat and matter with each other. So we can say that A and B are two isolated systems, whereas C is an closed system which can exchange heat with the A and with the B. So what zeroth law of thermodynamics said? Zeroth law of thermodynamics says that if there is a equilibrium between A and C, A and C will gain equilibrium. Why? Because heat can be exchanged between them, and after some time there will be same temperature in A and C, because heat can exchange between these both. So we can say that there will be equilibrium between A and C. There will be thermal equilibrium between A and C because temperature will be same of both A and C. Similarly, we can say that B and C can exchange heat with each other. So, there will be thermal equilibrium between B and C. Zeroth law of thermodynamics says that if two systems are in thermal equilibrium, A and C are in thermal equilibrium, B and C are in thermal equilibrium because they can share heat, and we have seen that when we keep one hotter body and one colder body with each other, then they exchange heat and after some time they gain the same temperature. So, we can say that when they gain same temperature they are in thermal equilibrium. So, similarly we can say that here see that A and C are in thermal equilibrium and B and C are in thermal equilibrium. If we remove this partition W1, but here A and B are separated by adiabatic wall, so they cannot share the heat, but A and C can share it, B and C can share it. It means A and C are in thermal equilibrium, B and C are in thermal equilibrium. So, zeroth law of thermodynamics says that if two systems are in thermal equilibrium with each other, if two systems are in thermal equilibrium with a third system, two systems separately are in thermal equilibrium with the third system, then these two systems are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. So, if we will remove this wall W1, what we see here that A and B will also be in thermal equilibrium. Why? Because A and C are in thermal equilibrium means both have same temperature. B and C are in thermal equilibrium, both have the same temperature. It means A and B will also have the same temperature. So, this is the zeroth law of thermodynamics, which says that if two systems A and B are separately in thermal equilibrium with the third system C, then in that case A and B will also be in thermal equilibrium with each other.